I tend to be subscribing to one of two kinds of channels. You've either got the people who have got quite low subscribership and are still sort of struggling to figure out this whole YouTube thing, or there's people at the other end of the spectrum that seem to be up in the thousands. Look, I'm by no means a big wheel on YouTube at the moment. But look, in the last 6 months I've been able to apply at least some techniques and use some tools that have allowed me to move from, around the 50 mark where I was languishing for a while, and I'm just bumping up against 500 right now. What I want to do with this video is a little different to everything else that I've done. It's just to give some basic tips and tools for helping you to increase your subscribership. These are things that I've used. They're by no means gospel, they're not necessarily the best way, but look, they're tools that I'm employing right now and they're working for me. So look, if they help you too, then more power to you. Also look, if you're somebody who's doing very, very well with subscriptions right now and you've got some extra additional tips that I haven't covered in this video, then please, by all means, put them in the comments section, and that way you can be helping your community and maybe even picking up a few subs while you do it as well. So let's do this. The first tool that I want to talk about are ones that bundle with YouTube, and these are often overlooked. And look, I'm guilty of it as well. I think for the first year and a half, I looked at things like analytics, looking at dotting cards and things throughout my videos, and I thought, you know what, that's too much trouble, and I'm too small a channel right now to really need that sort of stuff, and I haven't really gathered enough data or information to really get a useful sample on how to really apply what I'm picking up in analytics. Long story short, this stuff works, and I swear by it. Now, for example, analytics, one of the most useful things that you'll pick up from this is it will tell you the exit point, where people are watching and then losing interest in your videos and going. And there's a few things you can do with this. The first is, obviously, you can look at where their interest is dwindling off and analyze that and figure out exactly what you're doing or not doing to hold your viewers' attention. The second thing too is, look, that's the perfect spot to drop a card. If a person's interested enough to watch that far, but either thinks, oh look, I know what I'm looking at right now, I know this information, I'm not learning anything, or just feels that it's a little too long-winded to sit through, then they may be tempted by that card and click, and you may just capture that interest. And the good thing is you can update those cards all the time, so what you do today may not be relevant in 6 months' time. It may be dated information. You can come back and you can update those cards so they point off to new videos in your playlists and so on as well, and you can keep that contact and that interest alive. Now start thinking about YouTube as the second biggest search engine in the world, and it is, directly behind Google. They're both owned by the same company. Now a good way to take advantage of this is to start using your channel name and the keywords of your videos. And this does a whole bunch of things for you. Obviously it's going to start building up your profile in YouTube's search engine. If people search for your channel name, then a whole bunch of videos will come up, because until that stuff's spidered indirectly, your odds are pretty low. So this is boosting your rankings within the YouTube search engine too. Also, when a person gets to the end of your videos and YouTube offers up a whole bunch of new videos to check out, if you've started building connections with your channel name, then your videos will start to appear in this list, and eventually you will only see videos linked to your channel come up in that final search. And speaking of utilizing the end of your videos, look, if somebody's been interested and engaged enough by your content to watch it to the end, chances are they're going to be very, very tempted to watch other stuff that you've produced. And a good way to take advantage of this interest is to create links to additional videos right at the end of your video. I used to do this by hand using Adobe Premiere. I'd put thumbnails of my videos with the names on there, and people could click on those and it would bounce off to YouTube. But YouTube's actually offered this as a tool now, and the big advantage of this obviously is it's a whole lot easier to put links to other videos at the end of your videos. You don't need an editing program to do that. But also on top of that as well is, look, at those videos in 6 months, you may want to change those. You may find you've got a video that's very, very popular and you want to be promoting your new content, not your old content. So you can just update those end videos, take these ones out, and in 6 months' time put new ones in, and 12 months' time put new ones in. And this is what you need to think about YouTube. I mean, you may be looking right now thinking, oh, this is just some shitty little video that I'm going to chuck up there, I don't know what's going to happen. But look, if you're in this for the long game, then that video is going to be up there in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and it's going to be picking up traffic. I've got some videos that I've put online that I didn't really give a second thought to, but then I go back and I look at my stats, and 2 years later, these are up in the thousands. So don't sell yourself short by having low expectations about the reach of your video. And having these end videos at the end really is a good way to set yourself up in the future so that you're ready for success. And last but not least, always remember to put a subscribe link in your videos at the end. If a person's been interested and engaged enough to watch your content to the end, then the best reward they can give you, the best payment, is to subscribe. The best thing about these subscriptions is they're passive. You don't have to go chasing them. People can simply do a YouTube search and enjoy your content enough that they feel confident enough in what you're doing to support you by clicking that subscribe button. Don't let that opportunity go by begging, by not bothering to put a subscribe button at the end of your video. In the final score, I've probably wasted an enormous amount of time doing daily updates on different social media platforms. Look, I really spread myself pretty thin, and at the end of the day, look, it didn't get me results. In the end, I found it's easier and more effective to master a handful of social media platforms than to try and have a presence on all of them. At the end of the day, what I settled on was Facebook, Twitter, and also Google Plus as well, just because Google Plus will passively enhance your search engine rankings whenever you start putting content on there, and that just seemed like a really smart idea. Now, there's a game auditor website and it's built in WordPress, and for me this turned into an enormous blessing down the line because I started using a plugin called Buffer. Now, what Buffer does is, for example, I can do a post on my website and Buffer will send a copy of that post out to my Twitter, my Facebook, and my Google Plus social media, so I don't have to replicate that content. Don't have to be dashing between platforms all the time. Now, there's an enormous amount of research that's been done on the most effective use of social media. How many messages to send per day? How often do you want to be sending to effectively get coverage out there without pissing people off? The figures I keep coming up with are one post a day. If you can put one post a day out there, people will recognize you, they'll recognize your branding if you're using it, and that's a really effective tool to be using. Too effective to not be using, let's put it that way. It'll keep you on everybody's radar, but you won't be pissing people off by spamming them as well. And Buffer is perfect for this because you can start to build up an archive of posts and then use the scheduling tool in Buffer to bleed those out. And that's what I do. At the moment, I'm sending out one news post and one trailer a day. It's different kind of content. Trailers are really, really easy to watch, but if somebody wants something a bit meatier, then there's a news post there that I've picked up off other social media and other gaming websites and things like that. And this just keeps everybody aware that you're out there, that you're serious about what you're doing, and that you're going to be constantly releasing content out there that keeps people's interest and awareness up until you start doing YouTube videos. And then you've already cultivated that interest and awareness out there. When you do your own videos, hopefully you're getting more coverage that way because people take you just that bit more seriously than if they didn't know you at all. I found the most useful social media for me for building up subscriptions is Twitter. It's got the most flexible tools. It allows you to shape your contact a lot more effectively than Facebook. Facebook waits for people to come to you and to subscribe and all of that sort of stuff, and it's very difficult to move ahead in Facebook without paying for ads and so on. And look, I've had so many problems with their ads. YouTube, on the other hand, I can choose who I follow, I can shape who follows me, and things like that, and I've just got more aggressive tools when it comes to making contact with the market out there. For many people, their first contact with me on Twitter is an auto message, and I make no apology for that. I read a lot of people's messages, auto messages, where they apologize for using auto messaging like it's shameful or something like that. Look, the bottom line of social media is there are more people talking than listening, so you need to be able to get people's attention. You need to be able to do it effectively, without apology, tastefully, respectfully, and I find a well-written auto message will do that. Read 20, 30 or 50 auto messages on Twitter and work out which pisses you off, which you ignore, which bores you to tears, what offends you, and what grabs your attention, because this is all useful information you can apply into writing your own auto message. Don't waste time apologizing in your auto message. Look, don't put, "it would mean so much to me if." It just blows my mind how many of these I get, and it just comes across as insincere and passé. Look, you may think it's edgy and cool to be offensive in your messages. That just pisses me off. You'll go straight into my trash bin. People pay professional comedians to come up with these messages because they see them for the opportunities that they are. Have a look at the messages that you like, that send a positive message to you and that get your interest, and look and build on that. Start doing your own. Now, one of the most powerful tools that Twitter offers me as somebody trying to build subscribership up is the ability to choose who I follow. And it's very, very easy. Anybody who's using Twitter as a networking tool is doing this already. It's easy to find followers, and from those followers you can look at who they're following, and you can start following those people too, which is an invitation for them to hopefully follow you back. And this is something that you can use to help build up your YouTube subscriptions. So I'll look for a follower who's got an enormous amount of followers themselves. I'll go to that follower list just by clicking here, and I'll scroll right down to the very, very bottom of that list so that everybody is highlighted, everything's up, because Twitter will only show a certain amount of people at a time. And I scroll back up to the top, hit Control F on my keyboard, which lets me type in a search string. I type in YouTube. Now, originally when I first started building up a followership on Twitter, it was really, really easy to get people to follow you. There's so many gamers out there, so many gamers using Twitter, and look, you can get hundreds a day, no problem. The problem I had was conversion rate. I could, for example, get a few hundred, and out of that list of people, I might get 1 or 2 subscriptions. So you can see the amount of work that was required in order to do that. By searching through that list of followers and refining it down to who has their own YouTube channel, who's committed to that as a platform, your conversion rate goes up enormously. Also, look, when you get to 5,000 followers, Twitter starts to impose limitations on how you interact with your audience. So being able to refine those numbers and control them, you're better off having 500 solid followers than you are having 5,000 shitty followers, which could be made up from fake accounts, spammers, people who aren't active, all of that sort of stuff. And that's what searching through this list will do. It will allow me to find the people who are committed to YouTube as a platform, follow them. If they follow back, it'll trigger my auto message and it starts a dialogue, and hopefully we pick up from there. And I can tell you right now that's boosted my conversion rate as far as subscribers go substantially. Now, use Twitter responsibly. I'm not encouraging you to use it in a way contrary to the user agreement with Twitter or its abusive use policy, whatever it's called. Twitter's quite clear about how it can and can't be used, and you'll notice if you're starting to demonstrate abusive behavior, you're going to get pop-ups and warnings from Twitter. For example, if you were to take one follower and continuously harvest their follower list, that can constitute abuse. And you may have to change your password, or there may be limitations imposed. Use Twitter responsibly, make sure that you're aware of their acceptable use policy and work within those guidelines. There's no shortage of amazing websites out there that will allow you to manage your Twitter account more effectively. Just a couple that I use Crowdfire for my auto message. I find it very, very easy, and it's got some great analytic tools in there as well. And I use a platform called Manage Flitter, which allows me to really, really analyze my followers and clean those lists up. I've literally culled thousands of inactive or spammy or irrelevant accounts out to help me keep under the 5,000 mark. And this will also get rid of unfollowers, people who don't follow you back. The first video I did was for a video game, an MMO called Defiance. I don't know if you've played it. It was just a breakdown, analysis of what it offers, the pros and cons and so on. Look, I still think it's one of my best works. In the music, everything and it was perfect. I got a lot of really good positive feedback on that, and one of them was from a member of the TGN network who said that he felt my content was really, really strong and that it could work under TGN, and he tried to get me in as a partner. Look, my subs were way too low. Their criteria is quite strict. But what it did was it opened my eyes to partnership opportunities out there, and I started doing a bit of research myself. A long story short, partners are channels that run the content of other channels. So you can think of them sort of like a TV station that goes out and finds a whole bunch of provider content and then runs it through their own station and then focuses on marketing and building up the profile of that one channel. And all of the small channels that go through that big channel, they all benefit from the additional attention that they're able to generate. The most obvious benefit of a partner is they increase your views. And if you're looking at monetizing YouTube and looking at that as a possible career path or just an extra way to make money, it's the views that pay. It's not the amount of subscriptions you've got. The reason subscriptions are so important is the more subscribers you've got, the more views you've potentially ambushed. But you're really working for views at the end of the day. And having a good partner can be an excellent way to increase those. Now, partnership is a contractual agreement, so you need to be 100% clear about what you're doing before before you start. Go out and research, have a look at what's out there, what people are offering and how it can benefit you. Be aware of the downsides. Somebody may talk up a good game when you go to their website and have a look. Get onto Google and just look for reviews of those partners. Go onto YouTube. There's always somebody who's pissed off with their partner. Whether what they have to say is reasonable or makes sense or not is another matter altogether. More often than not, it's not. But there's a lot of things out there you need to be aware of. The very least of which is once you make that contractual agreement, and it will be validated on YouTube, any earnings that your channel makes will go through that partner first, and then that partner will disperse those earnings to you based on the whatever your contractual agreement is. Most of those partners are going to want to take a percentage, so you need to feel confident that they're going to be able to boost your metrics in order to absorb the loss of that commission that they're paying out. Some will also go for content ownership as well, which means that any videos that they promote become their property. If you leave them, you will lose those videos. They will keep them. They will be forever gone. And again, too, you're agreeing to those terms on that contract. Others have restrictions or limitations on minimum payouts and things like that. They may not pay you until you've earned a certain amount. So these are things you need to be aware of, and I want to make it absolutely clear, if you're looking at partners based on this video, you are on your own. I am not going to make any recommendations to you. I'm not telling you it's a good road to go down. Figure out what's right for you, and look, at the end of the day, you may feel that partnership's not. So that's 100% your decision. You need to do the work to find out what the benefits are for you. After a few weeks of doing research as a new channel, I decided to use the Freedom Network. They were a good feel for me. There's no minimum payout. If you earn 0.01 cents in a month, I'll pay you 0.01 cents, and I'll do it straight away. They don't muck around. There's no content ownership. There's no exclusivity. They won't stop you from having other partners. I became part of a community when I joined Freedom. I was able to liaise with their other members, build up collaborative opportunities. There's an enormous amount of resources they make available to help you grow your channel. But look, one of the really big selling points for me was access to Position Music and Epidemic Sound. These are two websites that do content for blockbuster movies. You'll see their tracks and things like that on TV, in the Marvel movies and things like that. And as a member, I'm able to go in and download music and use that music in my videos without limitation. I won't get any copyright infringements. And if you're planning to make money off YouTube, you need to be an absolute legal genius when it comes to copyright infringement. If you've got a little intro video that you're putting at the start of every movie that you make that uses somebody else's music, and that person puts a copyright claim on that track, you're never going to earn money off that video. Any revenue that you're generating will go to the person who created that piece of audio that you're using. And this was a massive benefit, being able to use the libraries of Epidemic Sound and Position Music. Anyway, that's it for this video. There's an enormous amount of stuff here. If you're not aware of these things, and I'm sure there's some useful information there for you, given a chance, I'll talk all day, and you can probably figure that out yourself. I hope you've picked up some useful tips and some tools that you can use to help build up your channel. Look, if there's a single thing in this video that you've watched that is useful to you and that you're going to go out and apply, then please subscribe to this video, share this video on your channel, send it out to other people that you know on your subscription list who are desperately struggling to build up their YouTube followership, their subscription base. And look, go forth and prosper.